What up, everybody? Welcome to the XCast. Right about now, we want to welcome you to the greatest podcast on earth, hosted by yours truly, the XSP. I want to hear you say XCast. XCast.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? We got the second edition of the XCast, the visual presentation of the XCast. Today, I got a great guest on today. He's a man of many trades, somebody I've been wanting to interview for a long time. Known him for about 6 years now, and he goes by the name of Austin Doerr. He runs this right here, Texas Hatchet Cartel. And we're gonna get him on here in just a few. But before then, I'm gonna run a little bit of my. Here's a little commercial right here.
Jesus died upon the cross of Calvary. Jesus died for you and me.
Yeah, so you know what? I got the new album out. It's called Extremist Slaughterhouse Religion. So be looking on that on Spotify, and be looking for that on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your streaming music from. Best believe I'm gonna be in there. The XSP Extreme Street Preacher in the house. So, man, it's gonna be an awesome time. Got another one of these things going up, and I want this to be a great thing that we're doing here, something brand new. So once again, man, I'm really excited as far as doing this brand new platform. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a while, but haven't really got the opportunity to. So now that the COVID-19 is making us kind of separated, it's time for start doing these type of things. And I have a great guest, Austin Doerr, runs Texas Hatchet Cartel, and he runs Out of the Past Collectibles. But when he gets on, we'll talk about that here in just a few minutes, just a few moments. You know what I mean? Keep it live, keep it fresh. All right, here we go. What's going on? Turn your sound on, buddy. Oh, here we go.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, Mr. Austin Doerr? How's it going, man?
All right. How you doing down there?
I'm doing great, man. Just trying to keep connected without being connected with people. Social distancing.
Right. Keep connected without getting infected.
There you go. That's the way to look at it. So, man, welcome to the XCast. I've been wanting to have you on my show since back when I was doing things on SoundCloud and when it was just all audio. Now that I've got you here, man, I just want to appreciate you and thank you for taking the time out of your very busy day. I'm sure you're always a busy man.
Hey, it's been a long day already.
There you go. So before we get into some of the stuff that you run, I want to ask you like an icebreaker question. The icebreaker question is, have you ever seen anything that you couldn't explain, like lights in the sky, maybe a ghost, some kind of story of that nature in your life, throughout the course of your lifetime?
Yeah, I do remember living in Florida as a kid one time before we moved back here to Austin, and we were driving down one of the highways and saw kind of like almost kind of like a check mark in the sky with like 4 or 5 lights kind of lined up in a row, and they were kind of twinkling in a not starlight kind of way, and they were, kind of shifting around. I remember my mom seeing them and talked to a few other friends at the time. I was probably like 10 years old or something like that. And that was definitely unexplainable. It was something that was on the news at the time that other people saw too. And not everyone noticed it, but it's something I remember.
Have you ever seen anything like that since then?
You know, I fear probably missing more events or things like that due to just not, you see it and you don't necessarily always think about it when you see it, or, you just push it off. Sometimes it's like, oh, it was just a shadow, or a light from a car or something like that. And sometimes you might have experienced it without realizing,
Yeah. So, man, you have a very, I know you're, like I said, you're a very busy person. So let's start off talking about the this right here. This is one of your main things. I know it's not much going on with it right now because due to the virus and whatnot. But tell us how you started Texas Hatchet Cartel.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Texas Hatch Cartel just became what was a group of myself and a couple other friends that went to concerts and had the thought in our crazy heads at the time, which probably hasn't changed much, but to bring Texas everywhere we went. We were going to festivals or concerts and events in Colorado and Oklahoma and in other states, and we were flying to certain areas to meet some underground artists or people that we were fans of, and they weren't coming to tour here in Austin or close enough in Texas where we could get right to them to see them. So we started, just traveling, and that's really kind of how it started years before it, became a business or what it wants to be today, so to speak. And it's still just really, I feel like every event or show that we're involved in is just bringing the family of music lovers and like-minded people together, allowing the voiceless to have a stage to perform their art or tell their stories, whether it be fiction or non. So everybody kind of brings their own element to the equation on Texas Hatch Cartel to just, it's also something I've said, it's not the Austin, Texas, or the Corpus Christi, Texas Hatchet Cartel. It's Texas. We try to unite those artists and the people that I've been talking about together in Texas, and make the shows and events have people from multiple cities and multiple genres and stuff like that, to try to bring more people together for just an overall good time. We try to keep the drama at our live shows and events down to a bare minimum, but it wouldn't be fun without a little. So there's always something that goes on, it seems like, at every show or event, that seems like each one is a more memorable one. We had a couple of shows planned for the summer that have now been pushed back, postponed, or canceled, and we're hoping to get back into doing those shows and events. We, in the beginning too, when we would travel, we started just having a lot of merch, CDs, records, or whatever that the bands or the people that we were meeting along the way had, and we would always try to pick up extra copies to bring back and just kind of spread the music and the stuff that we liked. And it was stuff that the local record stores weren't carrying, and a lot of it still to this day you have to get directly from the artist. And if the artist doesn't have a way to get their name out there, then how are they going to sell their stuff and all that? So we've met a lot of great people and had a lot of fun on that journey, and it's not anywhere near an end yet, so we'll be back with that for sure.
Who are some of the artists that you first started with? I know you mentioned going to Colorado. What are some of the artists that, maybe for some people who don't know anything about you, what are some of the artists you work with?
Sure. I mean, I've done, I guess, a mix of country and blues and rock and punk and hip hop and horrorcore and all kinds of stuff. It's always hard to name a few artists because there's so many that I hate to leave anybody out specifically. But as far as Colorado goes, it's been a 10-year relationship with Texas Hatchet Cartel and LSP, Lyrical Snuff Productions, who houses artists like Scum and Smalls One, Death Foretold, and there's just so many great artists on that label. And through our communications and working with Scum and LSP, we've been able to meet people across the world. I've met artists from Germany and Australia and all over the place through that connection. And you know, we've done a couple of shows and events with Kung Fu Vampire. He's out of California, and he's looking to get out on a tour as soon as it's safe and bring his stuff back out on the road. You know, there's been a lot of local artists. We sometimes get involved in some of the benefit shows or events in Austin to raise food or raise toys, and a lot of the same stuff I know that you've done in San Marcos or San Antonio. So we need to come together on something like that and make it happen. There's so many people in need right now. You know, it's we're living in such strange times. It's hard to know what's going to happen at this point. You know, that's why we're here, being socially distant and talking over the phone on the computer and stuff like that. So
So working with all these different artists, do you see how do I say it, are there misconceptions maybe for some of those hardcore artists, or are there kind of some interesting characters that surprised you along the way that maybe are some that kind of stuck out?
yeah, I mean, you have to remember, for any genre of music and any style of music, a lot of it is what's just known, and I mentioned before, is giving people a stage to perform their art. You know, it's a lot of people express certain feelings or emotions through their music rather than stepping out into the real world and dealing with those you know, emotions or feelings in a negative way. Some of the music might be negative or sound negative, but the underlying messages are generally more positive, or it's a lot of experiences like, hey, we've done this and you don't want to do that, or you know, or even see the beginning and the end. Some of the songs or the music may start in a story, and they're telling you a story, and in the beginning it's, you were doing this and it's really crazy and it doesn't sound like something you should do, and then in the end this is what's happened and you probably don't want to do that, you know. But and then you know, I think for the most part, all of the artists and the people that we try to work with, you know, we try to bring positive attitudes to our shows and our events, so anybody from any walk of this earth can come and have a good time and feel safe, you know.
Yeah, one of the shows I did with you at one point, I had a teacher come in who knows nothing about the genre, knows nothing about that whole kind of scene, and she said, at first I felt very what's like kind of cautious, because she saw, I think, some people with maybe horns or crazy makeup, and by the end of the night she's like, oh my god, I had so much fun. I was like, I'm not scared of these people at all now. And by the end of the night, people were hugging her and different things like that. I know you bring like almost a family atmosphere amongst all the different storytelling elements.
Right. Yeah, it's again, it goes back to the bringing Texas together, trying to bring, you know, all these different people from different walks of life together to just have a good time and get that freedom for a few hours out of our crazy schedules of work and the other family stuff that comes along with life. So and it's great, you know, and I've met a lot of people along the way that I'm real glad I've met, and that we, you know, we talk often. I mean, you and I talk, I feel like, you know, fairly often about different stuff, and it's always great. I love being connected with positive and motivated people that make stuff happen.
All right, has there ever been any artists that you work with that was like, man, I'm never gonna ever work with that again? Some you want to share, if you feel comfortable with sharing certain things. Has there ever been?
Yeah, I mean, I
very
probably
negative?
won't name names for namesake, but but yeah, but yeah, that, you know, there's been a not really. I mean, I wish I had like a good story for that, and I'm sure if I thought hard, I'd remember one that I wish I didn't remember. But there's, you know, been a few guys I've been like, okay, like they're a little too crazy or a little less connected to the business side of it than I would prefer sometimes. But that goes with any kind of music or, you know, any business where you're opening yourself up to work with a group of people at one time. So it's tough, but luckily, you know, no major issues. Some of the first shows that I did, I remember, you know, having issues with some of the artists that were unhappy about different things or just random misunderstandings. So along the way, I try to learn from all those things and then use each of those new, you know, ideas or things as a way to just kind of learn and grow and make things better. So I know it's hard to make everybody happy, and it's always worth trying. That's all we can do sometimes.
Right. So can you tell us about the very first show? I know that you come from maybe a background that where you weren't exactly a promoter. How did that start, and how did that first show go for you, and what were some of the things that you had to worry about?
Yeah, I mean, the very first show that I remember doing was actually was supposed to be a tour that I was picking up down on 6th Street. It was with Isham, the Unholy One from the Detroit area. It was the Sacrificial Lambs tour, and I had put a combination of artists from around Texas, and had brought had planned to bring Scum out from Denver, who we talked about earlier, and had promoted that show for months. And it just came about from the travels I was doing and going to other places. Isham had never done a show in Austin, Texas. Scum had never done a show in Austin, Texas. And I wanted to bring them here and put them together for a show. And they had done shows together in other cities. Of course, you know, Scum has been on a lot of tours with all of those artists that relate to Isham, Insane Cloud Posse, Twisted, all those guys. So it was great to kind of feel like I was, you know, bringing him here, and it was really a test of time to see how the waters went. And we had tickets sold all over Texas. Some unfortunate things had come up for Isham and his guys on the road before they were able to make it here on the tour. And last minute, our show was Tuesday night, and on Monday night I got the call that their van was broke down and they weren't going to be able to make it, and Scum was flying in Tuesday afternoon. So I called him Monday and I said, hey, the headliner's not gonna be able to make it, Sham's not coming, you know, what should I do? And he was like, you know, you've already got the ticket, I'm gonna come out either way, so see what you can do. So I made a bunch of phone calls and got a lot of really great friends of mine who I still know to this day to show up and I explained to them what was going on. I had this show built. Someone, you know, Jay Bazaar, is living up in Ohio now, but he was here in Austin, Texas, and he was on that show. He had helped to promote it for quite some time, and last minute, right now, you know, I can't even remember all of the great names that I pulled together for that show, but SHSM, the Southside Hatchet Swinging Mob, they came through. They were on time, last minute, showed up and brought several people with him. We kind of turned it into our own personal little mini gathering, and I feel like some of those first shows kind of went like that. It was just mini gatherings with followers of the underground music who wanted to come together and just have a place to be free and be together for a little bit. So it worked out really good. We had a great night. There were some people that were upset and thought that we had tried to use, you know, Isham's name to get people to show up and this and that, but we had the tour shirts. The tour shirt even had the Austin date on it and all that stuff. So we've worked with Scum on almost every show and every event since then. But it was great. And again, I said, it really just kind of started from the need to bring some of the artists to our area and to give friends of ours and people we knew that liked that music a place to hear it all, you know?
That's awesome, man. One of the things that I really enjoy about coming to shows like yours is that you basically say, hey, whoever you are, come on. I think when I
Yeah.
met you, it was Anybody Killer and A and B, and I remember standing outside and of Elysium, and I was like, hey man, who's running this thing here? And I think I was kind of asking people, and I was like, well, how do you get on the bill? How do you get on the thing? And he's like, oh, well, just send me a link and we'll see what we can do. And it wasn't
Right.
it wasn't like, no, you are over here, you're over here. It was more like, yeah, well, if you have something that you can offer to the table, then might as well. And in my case, I'm far from what a lot of these guys do, and you still accept me into the fold. And a lot of the people that you introduced me into a lot of people, like you said, a lot of interesting characters, and that's one of the things that I love about the concerts that you do. It's very much like, well, let's see if you have skill, let's see if you have something to bring to the table, and
Yeah.
that's an awesome thing. That attitude that you bring to the concerts.
Yeah. The shows and events, generally, cost quite a bit, and I just want to make sure everyone has a good time. They're not always profitable and stuff like that, but as you got on the shirt there, we've got merch and we have different things available, and I have a lot of really good stuff from some of the artists we've worked with over the 20 years probably total of Texas Hatcher Cartel, but maybe closer to 10 years of actually doing the concerts and the events. Those first 8 to 10 years were just promoting, traveling, getting the name out there, and just really having fun with it and stuff like that. And we got together one day and just kind of talked about it and thought, hey, we need to take this a little more serious than we have been, as much as we didn't want to, because like I said, we were, just having fun, and it was great to get people together and to see people having a good time at the shows, and then make friends and start, gatherings and events outside of there. So Austin had a lot of great stuff going at that time, and still does. It's just a lot of those people have moved to different areas and just aren't around because the cost of living here now and stuff like that. So but it's still great when they come in and get together for the shows.
So along with you doing promoting, you also kind of co-run a shop in Austin there. You want to tell us about the shop, out of the past collectibles? Tell us a little bit about your business that
Yeah.
you said.
Yeah, that's kind of a whole nother adventure, and a very large portion of the story of my life. My mom and I have always been together in some fashion or form of retail ever since I was a kid. I remember being at flea markets or auctions and some sort of event where we were involved of moving of some sort of merchandise, and it was always something different. For years, as a kid, when I was in middle school and probably into high school, my mom traveled around a lot, and she sold stuff that she was into and that she had collected to different stores and different antique shops or whatever it was. And this was, long before the internet and all of the like eBay markets and online stuff and all that. So it was just an adventure where we got into collecting things. People would ask for something, she would try to find it for them. And one day she just kind of got tired of going to these shops and places and people saying, well, oh, that item's not really worth that much and we can only give you this much for it. And when we knew that it was worth more and we knew what they would turn around and try to get for the item. And so she opened up a little booth inside of a mall on South Congress here in Austin. And that was probably like mid 90s. I want to say probably around 92, 93. And from the start of what we had was just one room in the small mall. In a couple of years, we had over half of the whole store. And we would, as people were wanting to move out of this little area we were in, she would buy all of their stuff and then rent their space. And within about 5 years, maybe 6 years, my mom had purchased the whole store, changed the name to Out of the Past, and we stayed open on South Congress for another few years before moving very quickly with a lot of stuff and a very small amount of help. We got everything up to Burnett Road, and it wasn't, at the time, really a move we wanted to make. It was the complete other end of town, and we were originally just into vinyl records and the music stuff, which is a lot of part where Texas Hatcher Cartel came from. Then we did toys and comics, which was stuff that I was just into as a kid. And as I would get done playing with something or want to get something new, I would sell a few things to get to buy the thing I wanted to buy. And then as I got older, kind of turned that into a business under my mom's wing of all the stuff that she was selling. She would buy truckloads of stuff from Home Shopping Network. She imported Oriental or Asian vases and lacquered cabinets and all kinds of stuff. And we've just kind of taken it to the journey that we're at now, where out of the past, collectibles has really become a hands-on experience. When people walk in the door, there is stuff, as you well know, some days piled to the ceiling. In every footage of the store, we do glassware and all kinds of collectibles.
So definitely, man, your shop, you and your mom's shop, is definitely something that's I think has been made almost a landmark in Austin. I know you were featured on WWE Network. You want to talk about being featured on WWE Network, being a fan of
Yeah.
WWE? I'm sure it was a big deal.
Yeah, being a fan of wrestling, it was really exciting, and it was totally unannounced to us. My daughter and I had tickets to go to wrestling here in Austin that night at the Frank Irwin Center. And I want to say it was Monday, June 3rd, to be exact. And it was for an episode of Ride Along. I happened to be at the store by myself, actually, at a moment that I wasn't even supposed to be there that day. I had some other stuff going on, and I went there. Some things came up, and I was staying there for a little longer. My mom ran a couple of errands before I had to leave. And this guy came in looking very official. I saw these two very nice SUVs pull in the parking lot. This gentleman ran in, and he was, I guess, their producer, director guy. And he just came in and said, "We have some superstars in the car that would like to come in and just film for just a couple of minutes in your store. We can't be here for long." And I said, "I just have two questions. You know, do we need to close the store, and do I need to make people leave that are in here, because this is a family business and we can't afford to do that, you know?" And he was like, no, it'll be fine. We won't be here long. Well, he ran outside after I agreed and said it was okay. And then I thought to myself, who uses superstars? You know, a lot of people like, we have musicians in the car, we have some celebrities, and I was like, superstars. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, you know, the WWE has the superstar world and all the superstars, WWE superstars. So I was like, I don't know who it is. I don't know what's going on. And then noticed that it was Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, former tag team champions. And they run a podcast about toys and action figures. And they're always on the hunt for the next best wrestling figure. And they want to always rip them right out of the packages. So they came into the store not knowing that, one, I was a wrestling fan, and two, we have wrestling toys. So they were really excited. I stepped to the front of the store after showing them where some of the toys were at to call my mom and tell her, "There, you know, the tag team here, the tag team champs are here. You got to get down here." And she didn't understand or have a clue what was going on. She rushed to the store as fast as she could. And it was funny, when I later got to watch the episode when it was released, I didn't know from when I was probably up in the front calling her and helping some of the customers, answering the phone, and the store was in full functioning mode at this time. But he got a big ladder, one of our big ladders in the back of the store, and he opened it up himself and climbed up to the top where I have a pegboard with some figures, and pulled them all down. And they were real cool. They got stuff for their families. They got stuff for themselves. And he did go, Zack Ryder did go right out into the parking lot and lay down on the oil-stained pavement and everything, and ripped open some packages. And they were doing a competition in Austin against the Iconics. And I'm hearing lots of stuff about the Iconics finally coming back. So that'll be fun if they do make it back. But it was real cool having them in the store, and it's helped also to kind of get the word out about the store. I think the overall episode of Ride Along was kind of a commercial for the KFC chicken and Cheeto sandwich or something.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but we were featured in the episode, and it was great. They showed the front of the store and the thickness of the amount of stuff we have in the store. So it was real cool. We of course obviously aren't getting the people in the store now, but when we were been open since that episode aired back in June last year, still get people in the store that say, "Oh, we saw this place on the WWE network. We didn't know you had wrestling toys. We didn't know you had all this stuff, and we just want to come in and check it out." So it's been it's been really cool.
That's awesome. You ever get anybody who's like, "Hey man, I saw you," or like obviously you said that there was they saw the store, but they ever get like, "Hey, I know you from somewhere," or anything like that?
Yeah, sometimes, it's funny. A friend of mine that I haven't even probably spoke to in 5 years, an old buddy Cliff from high school. We run into each other around town here and there, but he just sent me a video the other day, and I guess him, like a lot of us, are spending a lot of time online, a lot of time watching random YouTube videos that we probably wouldn't normally watch, but because we have so much time on our hands now, it's made it a great for things like that to get to happen for some of the bands. But he was watching a just random bands video from South by Southwest, and it was them live performing on different street corners. And about halfway through the video, he just happened to notice that I was walking behind the band, and I got the message from him through Facebook, and of course it was, "Hey, I think I spotted you in this video." And I know we've all got those links before from friends or anonymous friends that are probably trying to put viruses on our computers or phones. So I went straight to YouTube and I looked the video up that way instead of clicking that link. But sure enough, yeah, I saw myself, and that was pretty funny. But even my daughter, I think, notices that now too. We go to certain places, or her and I just go somewhere to try to hang out for a little bit, and they're like, "Oh, I know you from that store," or "I remember you from that Soulfly concert in 1996 or something." And I'm like, I don't even remember that concert, but that's great, It's like,
It's
oh,
almost like
it's
you're a
good
local.
memories.
It's almost like you're a local celebrity, man. Honestly, like that's the way I see it anyway. You're definitely
Yeah,
in all the
in
places.
my own behind, we'll say. But
So
yeah,
so being a wrestling fan, man, what do you think of the empty arena shows that they've been doing?
there's so many different ways to do it, and of course, since we've said the other names a few times, I got to bring it to AEW on this one. AEW has extremely stepped up the live performances with no crowds. I love the way they have the other wrestlers hanging out along ringside, and you can hear them, catcalling and making fun of each other back and forth as the matches are going on, and stuff like that. I'm curious to see how WWE steps up their cinematic matches and these almost kind of movie style events that it looks like they're going to be doing a lot more of. At first, I didn't like it, and then the more I've seen them or thought about it, it's like, that's kind of cool too. That's an interesting way of doing it. But AEW was the first to turn their cameras and face the stage, and they've had, like I said, the wrestlers along ringside and stuff. So I think that's made it real cool. And it's hard to say how long this could go on for, and stuff like that. But hopefully everybody stays safe and we get through this and get back to normal.
You know,
Whatever that was.
right? Speaking of the cinematic style, I don't know if you ever watched Lucha Underground. Every single backstage segment was done in a very cinematic way, and then obviously the in-ring stuff had a tint or like kind of a filter on it. I don't know if you ever seen any of that, but that was 5 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
It was kind
Yeah,
of
definitely. I probably did years ago, and I do remember, I think, some of those entrances and stuff like that. But I've been to a lot of live shows and seen a lot of wrestling, and it's great when some of the older guys make appearances and come back. And I think there's some older guys that have been at it for a little too long, and it's tough on their bodies, you know. And people always say, and there might be people even watching this now that want to know about some of the other stuff we talked about that don't like wrestling, but you know, wrestling might be you know, they want to say, oh, it's fake and this and that, and it's like, I don't care how many times you get hit with a metal chair, it's going to hurt every time.
Right.
The outcomes might be staged or might be known on who's going to win or who's going to get the belt next or how the storyline is going to go. But the matches and the both physical and I think emotional for a lot of those wrestlers, pain that they put themselves through is very real. And ever since I was a kid, I always felt like, you know, I was really grateful for the performances that they put on, for the torture that they put their bodies through, whether it be losing an ear to breaking a leg or even worse in some instances, you know. But
yeah, man, that's one of the things I was thinking of too with the Undertaker, being as old as he is and kind of not being as.
I didn't want to name names, but
Hey, man, I don't know if he's gonna watch this. I know he lives in Austin, does he not?
Right. Oh yeah. A friend of mine ran into him somewhere kind of on the west side of town not too long ago. Actually, it was right before the what was the showdown shows that they're doing overseas there. Not this last one, but the first one. So I guess that was about a year ago. But I had another friend. I know they used to live in Bastrop. I think they're kind of in West Austin somewhere now. But I would love to run into him someday. I've been very lucky to get to meet a lot of the wrestlers that I have coincidentally at different events or while they've been in town or while I've traveled to that town to see them or something. So it's always cool. Sometimes it's not always cool to meet that. We'll go back to the music artists or the wrestlers, but I generally find that for the wrestlers, if their persona or the character that they portray is not the nicest person, they're generally a really nice person in real life. So it's again goes back to the, you know, the wrestling outcomes and what goes on might be fake, but the people, their performances and the sport agility side of it is very real. I wouldn't want to attempt a lot of those flips, or I have a hard time just falling at being 6 foot myself, and I wouldn't want to monkey flip off a top rope and land on my face because I know how I would feel the next day. So I appreciate them for doing that for us. So
Well, I think we can look at those guys and say, man, that's something that we can aspire to. Or even the writing makes you kind of feel like you can do a lot of things. I mean, so I know myself, different guys who would talk before things were scripted. You kind of learn how to talk and you kind of get your own persona even, or your own kind of thing, what you aspire to be. As much as people say that wrestling is fake, yeah, definitely a lot of the charisma, the agility, the physique is very much real, and they do very real things to take care of it.
yeah.
Yeah, man, those cinematic matches, back to that, I think it's a way for, like you said, for older guys to really shine, and they don't have to put their bodies so much on the line as much, and
Right.
they can
Yeah.
kind of continue to live on for a little while longer, you know.
Right.
All right, man. Well, and we're coming up on our time limit, but hey, do you want to plug anything or social media or any other little things that you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if anybody out there is interested in finding out more, or if you have collectibles and things that you or someone in your family are looking to sell, you know, contact us. It'd be probably hard to do a lot of buying right now while the shop's closed, but we are still in business behind closed doors. We're fixing up the shelves inside of Out of the Past Collectibles in Austin to, you know, really come back and present it in a different way than it was before. We just have so much great stuff in there, and been adding a lot of pegboards and moving stuff around. But as far as Texas Hatch Cartel goes, you know, don't be afraid. You can't be judging the books by their covers. You know, come on out to a concert or an event when we get them going again. Follow us on any of the social medias for Texas Hatch Cartel. We have Instagram and Facebook. Those are probably the two best ways. just write a Texas Hatch Cartel. We have TexasHatchCartel.com. When we have events going on, we put up tickets. So we're maybe going to do some, I think I briefly, but didn't finish mentioning this earlier, but we have a lot of merch from the different artists, and I've been thinking about maybe doing some online auctions, something I've done with out of the past just recently to try to test it. But I think we may do that with Texas Hatch Cartel too, and see if we can get some of this good music out in the hands of people that just want to hear something new. And I always say you'll come to a show and hear something you don't like, but I will guarantee you're going to hear something you will. So I hope to meet y'all in person soon. So appreciate your time on doing this and inviting me to come and talk and maybe be heard by some new people. So
yes, most def, man. And I mean, all the things that I've experienced with you always been positive. I've never had a negative instance with you, whether it be helping you with your toy shows or doing an actual concert. It's always been a positive experience for me. And I know you've opened me up to a lot of different new people and different new places. And I think it's great, man, what you're doing, your business, all the different things that you juggle. I know a lot of people that, they get tired of working, with 5 days. I think you work 7 days a week, if I'm not mistaken.
pretty much. I sometimes say 9, but yeah, it's I've got family, I've got responsibilities of people who depend on me, and it's goes back to earlier I said, motivated and positive people. We don't always make the best decisions, but that's what makes us human. And as long as we can learn from any mistakes that we make, or the mistakes we could see that other people may make, and just do the best we can to help each other out in just some little way that makes a difference in someone's day. So it's I know that I probably haven't made always the right decisions, and not everybody might agree with your statements on positive experiences with me, but I'm glad that you do, and it's been an honor.
It's all true. Anytime I've hung out with you, even outside of a concert, man, it's always been fun. You know what I mean? It's always been fun. It's always been good. You've always been good to me since the beginning, and accepting me and my point of view. And I think you're just that type of dude, though. You're just a very, very, I don't want to say friendly because that sounds like a feminine word, but you're a very accepting guy.
There you go. No, we're all good. I'm in touch with all sides of my yeah. So anyways, that sounds good though. Yeah, I appreciate it. But anyways, on that note, we should end it. But no, going back to that music part too, I remember the first concert and event that, you performed on and with us. And I do believe it was also at Elysium, if I'm not mistaken. And, I really miss the Godfather and everybody down there at Elysium. We haven't done shows down there in a while. And I know that downtown and whole Red River area in Austin is hurting. But on that show that you were on first, you were up in the beginning of the night. People hadn't really gotten the vibe of the show yet and didn't really know what to expect for all the different people we had performing. And I remember the artists, I believe Scum and Insane Poetry were both there. And I remember them coming up to me and asking, hey, man, what did you get us into? Like, who is this guy? What is going on? But you stayed positive. You performed and put on a great show, threw that positivity out there, and you stayed at the front of the stage all night long, and you rocked out for every performance. And whether you agreed with what they were saying or not, and you introduced yourself to every performer, and you were very positive, and they never forgot that. And I know that they talk about you, you talk about them often, and we've given several shouts out to them here. So
yeah,
L's up and stay healthy, y'all.
That Triple MFD, man, was the very first, that first album that came out, the very first one, and it was like 6 years ago or something like that. Shouts out! Yeah. Actually, it's Scum's birthday today, so happy birthday!
That's right.
Happy birthday, Scum! What's up to Triple MFD? And yeah, man, appreciate your time once again out of your busy day, man. I really do appreciate it. Check out the toy shows. I forgot to talk about toy shows, but with Texas Hatchet Cartel concerts, we got Out of the Past. He's got the Austin Chemical Toy Show. So many different things, but that's it, man. We're running out of time, but that's all good. I appreciate you once again, man.
Yeah, and I picked up a new job we didn't even mention either, just to bring some money in while our shop is closed. But L's up, y'all, and stay safe and healthy.
All right, yeah.